Oh, hey, Con.
Chief, how's it going?
How do you feel about tentacles?
Excuse me?
Well, you seemed a bit disappointed a while back when...
Whoa, Chief, there are innocent people listening who haven't fought the last boss of Monster Hunter Stories 2 yet.
So, tentacles?
Yes, Chief, tentacles. You know what? 11-ticles.
Oh, you beat me.
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, welcome one and all to a bit of a chat about a bit of a special chap who we first see in one form but do not properly encounter until it completely transforms into Mothra 3.0. Probably the mothiest creature in the Monster Hunter series, and with a whole whack of fun, interesting shenanigans going on too. And in fact, from our first little lore drip feed about this monster that let us start speculating about it, all the way up until the fleshed out final boss fight itself, this creature is so tantalizingly cool. Yet, it seems to me that this monster has quite a bit of wasted potential in a variety of ways. So let's discuss that. Let's start off with the simple one. We can only fight this creature once. Ever. There is no super hard, repeatable version or anything like that, which is really sad because this monster is very cool. However, logistically, you don't really need to fight it infinitely because there's nothing to farm from him. There's no Oltura Armor or weapons either, which again feels like a really big missed opportunity. This creature is absolutely stunning. The gorgeous lighting, the multi-layered wings, hell, you could even work the giant worm tentacle things into the armor or weapon design if you wanted, just for fun, but something here would have been nice, just to see this monster interpreted as equipment in general. On top of that, there is also the element in the room of what the hell is up with those tentacles? What are they? Why are they? And why didn't we fight them? Because that makes me sad. Especially, I mean, of all the possible places for a giant, obscurely shaped monster that would be impossible to realize at full speed, the story's combat system would be perfect because of preset animations that you could really make this type of monster, this shape of crazy creature, look absolutely incredible in this game without having to worry about things like hitboxes or a fair movement speed compared to size, like you have to think about with the main series action Monster Hunter games. Stories gives you the freedom for super wacky things like that, and it honestly makes me pretty sad that we got this tiny little tease of a giant tentacle monster that burrows through the ground to make giant glowing pits, and it just sort of turned out to be a pretty standard Elder Dragon, but with some cool mothy bits. Don't get me wrong, an ultra powerful Elder Dragon with 6 wings, 5 elements, and some really cool uniqueness, but shape-wise, it turned from a gigantic burrowing tentacle worm into a 4-legged beast with wings, and given the freedom of stories, that disappointed me. I absolutely wanted a gigantic burrowing worm fight, and the hardest part of it all is that we don't even know why this happened. We know that Altura caused the Rage Raid pits to come, so we know that Altura is the source of these worm tentacle things in some way, but the final end version of Altura has pretty much no indication of this initial creature that we see. If in game there had been a story thread describing this transformation, I could at least accept it, I guess, but as it stands, we just had this random encounter with an unexplained gigantic burrowing tentacle that is connected to Altura being properly born into the world. There is lots we can speculate about the why and the how and the when and the weast, but in this game, this specific part is just a footnote. This particularly awesome BC that we had shoved in front of our faces was essentially a massive tease of a red herring. Like, imagine if Altura itself had been this tentacle monster, or this tentacle monster coming out of some sort of larger bodied creature. The same element flipping mechanics, the bursts of energy just coming out of the mouth of this insane beast instead, and the fact that you could have a level of animations in this fight that is crazier than anything in the rest of the game, have this creature of insane size burrowing around to attack you from surprising angles. I don't know. I know that I have a thing for giant snakes as a concept for monsters, and while this is a bit less snake-like, obviously, this creature here as a monster would essentially function as a giant snake with a nasty mouth that would fire beams of elemental power just like full-grown Altura does. Not to crap on the Altura we got, I mean, again, this monster is awesome, but the tentacle was a real tease, guys. And whoever wrote that into the story, that this giant thing would come flying out of the ground looking all cool like that, and you don't fight it? I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. This is a creature that would be incredibly hard to function in the main series, that would actually be reasonably the same as any scripted fight in stories. Wasted potential, missed opportunity, call it what you want, but this is it right here, right in front of us. This is the biggest disappointment of Stories 2 to me. It's this absolutely awesome creature that we are just so teased with. And technically, we do fight this creature because it is Oltura, but we also don't fight this creature. You know what I mean? I do, of course, also wish that we could fight either version of this in the main series. I mean, Altura is one of the only monsters in the entirety of the extended Monster Hunter roster that uses every element in the game. It has a relatively unique design, especially due to the awesome 6 moth-like wings it has going on, and I can even see a lot of these mechanics that it has translating into the action Monster Hunter games very simply and directly. Things like the element changing as the fight develops, the wings popping up and part breaks on these wings being required to avoid devastating attacks. Even the concept of giant room enveloping burst attacks that drop you to exactly 1 health without killing you. It's not hard at all to imagine this fight from the perspective of a hunter instead of the perspective of a rider. But what if we got the tentacle worm instead? I know, I keep bringing this up. I can't drop it though. I really like this thing.
I can't get it out of my head.
But no, as far as the main series go, the end form of Altura is way more transferable, and I would say also more likely, as in more likely than the tentacle coming to the main series. Not as in I think that Altura at all is likely to happen, because it would just be really, really hard to find a spot for a monster like Altura being added to a mainline game, just due to the sheer power of the beast. It would need to be a late endgame addition, and that is a really hard spot to free up in a monster roster in the series. I'd say as far as being able to fight Altura again, your best bet, your best chance is to play through Monster Hunter Stories 2 again. Your second best chance is maybe they'll add an event quest in Stories 2 at some point eventually, just for fun. But we haven't heard anything indicating that that will happen at any point soon. And then at the back of the likelihood bucket is an adaptation of this monster in another Monster Hunter game. I really don't see it happening. No matter how much fun I think it would be, I just don't see it happening, and that's disappointing. I'm disappointed that I only got to fight Altura once. I'm disappointed that there was no armor or weapons. I'm disappointed that the tentacle creature that we saw earlier in the story has no involvement in the version of Altura that we actually finally fight. I'm disappointed that we don't even learn about the tentacle form, and I'm disappointed that I probably won't get to fight Altura ever again unless I completely replay Monster Hunter Stories 2. That's the long and short of it. I love this game. I love this monster. I wish I could fight it a lot easier and a lot more frequently. Monster's really cool and an absolute tease. Alright everyone, I've been Cotton Dinosaur, and this has been a discussion about the final boss of Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, Oltura. He is a badass, but once you defeat him once, he has no ass. How do you feel about Oltura as a creature? What are your thoughts on the origins of the strange tentacle from earlier in the game? Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.